The 1.0 version of the suburbs is broken. You can find explanations elsewhere of how the structure of the suburbs smothers community, culture, collaboration, and connection. Few central gathering points, block after block of repetitive sprawl, full of places that no one cares about, little diversity, and even less cross-pollination of ideas. And the things that we make as a result become inferior. Residents become cynical, and our city simply becomes something that happens to us. Unfortunately, we can't redo the structure of the suburbs. But what if we could update the operating system? Most of you probably have a smartphone sitting in your pocket, probably, hopefully turned off. But you can't really just decide that you want to upgrade the hardware without tossing the old one and buying a new one. Maybe some of you just did that yesterday. But you get an OS update, and boom, suddenly you can do things on your phone that you couldn't even do before, like copy and paste. Do you remember that the first version of the iPhone OS didn't even have the ability to copy and paste, something we'd completely take for granted today? So no, we can't change the hardware of our suburbs, but we can update the operating system. And I want to talk to you today about 4 principles that are included in an OS update for the suburbs that I want to share. Those 4 principles are: stop thinking like a consumer, give everyone permission, weave weird webs, and be a citizen. Now, I can tell some of you don't have the latest OS update installed, so if you just tap gently on your temple, we can download that and get that going for you here. First, stop thinking like a consumer. You can immediately recognize a consumer when they say, "But there's nothing to do here." It's the consumer who looks at their community and says in the epic words of Kurt Cobain, "Here I am now, entertain us." You know, that's very familiar to many of us. But you've heard the phrase, "If you're bored, then you're boring." Well, when it comes to community, if I believe my community sucks, if I believe that it's not possible to do new and interesting things here, then I am part of the problem. You know, we have a lot of really great local businesses in our area. One of my absolute favorite coffee shops is the local on Gage. I mean, favorite in the world. I've been to coffee shops all over the world, and absolutely one of my favorites. But you know, I've never seen someone celebrate local businesses the way that they line up and anticipate the opening of Krispy Kreme. And it blows my mind that a Facebook page with one of the most likes in our area is the Bring Trader Joe's to the Tri-Cities page. And I think people have been yearning for Nordstrom since I was knee-high to a coat rack. But more stuff isn't going to fix the hole in our community's heart. Pulling an endless string of chain restaurants and stores and entertainment we think will finally fulfill us and make us the community we want isn't going to really create great community. I mean, believe me, if Krispy Kreme didn't do it, nothing's going to. That ship sailed. You want to rebrand the Tri-Cities? Abandon all hope, all ye who enter. If that's your mentality, then we got to get more stuff. This consumer-minded fixation on the things that we don't have is that we come to believe we can't make great things here. They call Missouri the show me state. I won't believe it unless you show me. Show me is the motto of the 1.0 version of the suburbs. When I was starting my business 9 years ago, I was exhausted by the number of people who really needed to tell me that they didn't believe it was possible to build a software company in the Tri-Cities. But today, that idea is accepted as a completely proven reality. No one would really question it. It's almost as if we kind of get to this point where, until something is safely proven possible here, We don't know, but once something is safely proven possible, a shout goes out to the whole community. Everyone, we can do frozen yogurt shops now. Roll them out. But in the 2.0 version of the suburbs, the onus is on the detractor. We believe things are possible here until we're proven wrong. Seriously, have you met every single person? Have you tried it? I mean, really tried it? Then how do you know it's not possible? Community theorist Peter Block said, "Community is built by focusing on people's gifts rather than their deficiencies. And people are the fundamental building block of the things that we inherently love about great cities. But you know what? There are people everywhere. And no place has a monopoly on ambitious and interesting people. When we say that new and interesting things aren't possible here, we're saying something truly terrible. We're saying that there's something fundamentally wrong with the people here. That's not just inaccurate, it's self-destructive. We need to stop thinking like consumers. Number 2, give everyone permission. I was 19 years old at the Golden Gate Chinese restaurant on Columbia Center Boulevard. It's been closed for quite some time now. And I'd asked my dad to meet me there because I had an idea that I wanted to tell him. And I was nervous. And I sat there with my tea. We weren't cross-legged. And then finally, awkwardly, after a long silence, I said, I want to go to USC and go to film school. And I braced myself for a lecture. And oh boy, I got one. It was just 5 words long. Then you should do it. Now, I didn't go to USC and I didn't go to film school. But those 5 words, they were freedom. People deeply desire permission. Don't ask. Give it to yourself. Even better, manufacture and distribute it. Give it out like it's candy. Let me tell you about TriConf. TriConf is a event that I was involved in helping start back in 2011. And at TriConf, on the opening night, everyone in attendance is deputized as a co-organizer. The sessions are nominated by attendees and voted on by everyone involved. And entire tracks emerge right in the middle of TriConf spontaneously because someone decided that there was a need and they took initiative and made it happen. You don't have to ask anyone permission to change TriConf, you just do it. And what we're really doing with TriConf is we're creating a safe place for people to experiment with this kind of thinking, where they truly have permission. But what people really want is permission in their own individual lives. Permission to take a big risk or a small one. Permission to believe in themselves or to believe in their community. There is so much untapped potential sitting in the ideas and dreams of the people around us in our communities. And the only thing, many times, that we need to do to unleash that is say, you should do that. And if we want to take it an even step farther, we say, we should do that, and I'll help you. I believe encouragement is really magic. The laws of thermodynamics say that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. But encouragement gives physics the finger. And I've seen it happen. So give everyone permission. Number 3, weave weird webs. My daughter Katie has been learning to finger knit, and she made this just the other day. She's just been learning. And it's amazing what a 7-year-old can do. I mean, she's just learned this with a few pieces of yarn strung together. Our community is only made up of individual one-to-one relationships. And the fabric that's woven together by the connection of multiple layers of those relationships is what creates the web of our society. And the more that we can connect the very disconnected and very different portions of individual people in very different communities, the better, the stronger, the more capable, the more creative, the more potential exists within our community and the social fabric of it. I want to take you on a journey through time through one particular weird web that I've had the privilege of participating in and observing over the past several years. When I started my company many years ago, I was originally looking for community, and many people I found out were as well. There really was no central community for people working in technology. And so a group of us got together and started Doctype Society as a meetup. Well, there was a woman named Shanoa who came to one of the early Doctype Society meetups. And she went on to gather a group of people from that community in creating Room to Think, our area's first co-working community. Well, one of the other things that emerged from Doctype Society was TriConf. And I talked a bit about that before, but on the second year of TriConf, there was a group of us that were inside Room to Think, very late at night, assembling the schedule from what everyone had submitted. And we were working in this, lit room in downtown Richland, and someone comes riding up on this bike. We see them from some distance because, we're not expecting someone to be riding a bike at night. And this person gets off their bike and comes all the way up to the window and bangs on the window. "What are you doing? This is downtown Richland. Don't you know this place shuts down at 9? And of course, we laughed and invited him in. And we told him he needed to come to TriConf. And all weekend long, Nick kept saying something over and over that became a mantra for TriConf. "I finally found my people." And Nick went on to gather some of those people that he met there and other folks that he'd met in the community in creating Confluent, our area's first makerspace just across the street here. Well, one of the other people who came very early to Doctype Society was a guy named Eric. And Eric gathered people from Room to Think and TriConf and Doctype Society in starting the area's first startup weekend. And at that first startup weekend, there were a group of people who really were excited about they were excited about their new businesses, and they were looking forward to a place and a home for them. And they were all mourning that Room to Think had recently closed as Shanoa had to move. And so the group of them, there's Becca, who spoke earlier, and Brett and Eric, and they gathered a large group of people together, and they led a community in creating Fuse, co-working. And Fuse, in the past 2 years, has served as a place where dozens and dozens of businesses have been fostered, and new community initiatives have a home. Well, last year, something else happened at TriConf where there was a group of people so the entire community created this thing called the "We Should Do That" wall, where people write their names on, or write an idea down and put their names next to it, saying, "I want to be part of making this idea happen." And one of the things that someone wrote on a Post-it note and put on this wall was the word TEDx. And a group of people wrote their names, and we're sitting here in this room as a result of that. But here's the best part, and the part that I absolutely love, is that some of the core leaders of making this event reality were not even the people who put their names on that list. They were people who were invited by people who put their names on that list. This is what happens with the power of weaving weird webs. And now we come to you, because this weird web has intersected with your own if it hasn't already. And I believe so strongly that the community that I want to be part of isn't possible without your possibilities. And so I want to leave you with this one last and perhaps most important point in this OS update. Be a citizen. Now, when we hear the word citizen, a lot of times we immediately think vote. But voting itself can be a consumeristic action if that's all we think about. We're just, going and paying with our vote to purchase some service from the government that's some other instead of it being a we. And that's not what we're talking about at all when it comes to citizen. The suburbs have easily been governed for quite some time by the old boys club. But the patriarchal era is fading fast. Welcome to the jungle, local politicians. In the era of rallying around one powerful person that we put our hopes on to create the future for us that we want to have, that era is nearly dead and gone. And good riddance. Because we have too many challenges to put on too few people's shoulders. I am responsible for creating the type of community that I want to be part of. But not just that. I am responsible for confronting others with their freedom to be part of creating the community that they want to be part of. Because after all, the first task and most important task of being a leader is not to lead, it's to create more leaders. The definition that I use for what it means to be a citizen is intentionally tiny leader. Why tiny? Because our world doesn't need more one-off individual heroes. We need entire armies of leaders. Intentionally tiny leaders build on other tiny leaders to build resilient, powerful, fearless societies. We often think that in order to make some real change, that we've got to get into this position or we've got to get permission from that person. But you know what? No one can stop you from making things better than they are right now. Say it with me. No one can stop me from making things better than they are right now. Let's say it together. No one can stop us from making things better than they are right now. You want to live in the 2.0 version of the suburbs? Then we should do that. Thank you.